Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We're talking about the big breaking news today that Harry Kane is staying at Tottenham after what seems like an eternity of this Harry Kane to Manchester City saga being played out across this summer. He has come out and stated that he is officially staying at Tottenham. We're going to be talking all about this story. We're going to be talking about where Man City potentially go from here, what the future looks like for Spurs, and what this means for the Premier League and the title race especially. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and very be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back to talking about this big breaking news story that Harry Kane is staying with Tottenham. It seems now we can finally put this whole thing to bed, this whole story to bed. But it didn't exactly come up with the conclusion that many of us were expecting. Let's go back and recap the story a little bit. Kane came out before the summer, just at the end of the transfer window, and stated that he wanted to leave Tottenham in order to pursue the game's biggest trophies. But the problem was that of course he had a few years left on his contract. There was no release clause in his contract because he didn't really think that through when he was negotiating a new contract a few years ago. And with Tottenham's main businessman being a very tricky negotiator, it always seemed like this was going to be a very difficult deal to get completed by City unless City were to go the whole hog and put their money where their mouth is and pay whatever Spurs wanted them to pay for their star asset. But of course, nothing materialised from that. Bids were put in, but nothing was materialised further as Tottenham remained firm on their stance and they remained defiant that they wanted the money for Kane. They wanted a specific fee for Kane, and City weren't able or weren't willing to pay that fee. And of course, it's come out today that Harry Kane himself has come out and he's put on Twitter and he stated that he will be staying at Tottenham this season. And he tweeted out going, "It was incredible to see the reception from the Spurs fans on Sunday and to read some of the messages of support I've had in the last few weeks. I will be staying at Tottenham this summer and will be 100% focused on helping the team achieve success." This is huge for obvious reasons, especially when you consider that loads of journalists and loads of fans thought that this deal was going to eventually go through and eventually cross the line. But as of today, everything regarding this deal has come to a screeching halt, an absolute screeching halt in this deal. This makes City look embarrassed. A whole summer of chasing Kane. Yes, of course, they did the Grealish transfer as well. Just something small in the region of 100 million. No big deal. Of course, they got the Grealish deal over the line. But they spent like a whole summer chasing a prolific and consistent enough goal scorer. Chasing Harry Kane all summer. Going through the entirety of the transfer window with reportedly growing confidence that this deal would go through eventually. This deal would be given the green light. This deal would get across the finish line, only to find themselves going up against a resolute negotiator in Daniel Levy. City came in with a couple of official bids. Both got turned down. Levy remained firm and defiant in his stance. He had no intention of selling Kane unless the money was right. Not even a part exchange deal in which City were offering a few of their squad players, but there were still very decent and very good players that would certainly help and benefit Tottenham. Could even prize Harry Kane out of Levy's grubby potato-like hands, I'm assuming, because he's got a potato head. Levy wouldn't budge, and today he has won the battle against Manchester City. This tug of war, if you like, with Manchester City to keep his gem, his diamond asset, Harry Kane. Harry Kane doesn't exactly come out of this looking particularly great either. He came out at the start and said he wanted a move to pursue silverware because he didn't feel like Tottenham were going to be challenging for it. So he said he wanted to move away. He then supposedly didn't turn up for training when scheduled to do so, only to then clarify days later that it was an arranged agreement between him and the club for a bit more of an extended break. seems a bit strange because until that point, and it was a few days since obviously that kind of news broke, there had been radio silence from both the club and him regarding this story, rather than giving it a whole kind of Skepta shut down this story kind of moment. There was then him supposedly being unhappy at the gentleman's agreement between him and Daniel Levy regarding a move this summer. Because as if that means anything now that we are out of like the 1800s. And then of course Kane's return this past Sunday in a Tottenham shirt when Tottenham took on Wolves in what was of course a win for Tottenham when they beat Wolves 1-0. All of these things it was just a strange saga this whole summer, and all of these key events were obviously big towards the entirety of this story. Like I say, completely messed up situation by Kane and Manchester City here, but tonight Daniel Levy will be celebrating, and I imagine a few of Manchester City's challengers for the Premier League title this season will also be looking at this with a bit of a smile on their face as well. But the main question now is, where do City go from here? Personally, I've always said all along that they needed a striker. They needed to find a striker this transfer window if they wanted to defend their Premier League title and at least have a very, very good chance of doing that, and also to win more silverware and maybe even acquire the one trophy that's been eluding them ever since big money started rolling in and being pumped into this squad, the Champions League. We're within the final week now of the transfer window. They have just under 1 week to try and find a solution to this problem. They still have the squad. They still have an amazing squad. Don't get me wrong. They still have an amazing squad to go on and win things. But a striker is obviously a key area in any squad, and for me, they lack in that area. I believe a false number 9, like they had so much last season, won't work as consistently during this campaign. I also believe that Gabriel Jesus isn't as good enough to lead the line as what many people think he may be on a consistent enough basis. Maybe a backup, yes, but a consistent enough basis, I don't think he's good enough. Do City have a plan B in line? Is there something to the Cristiano Ronaldo links? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that he would want to betray Manchester United, but maybe at the point of his career, money still talks. Maybe the level of competition and the amount of challenges that he will come into Manchester City with may tempt him to go out there and conquer them kind of upcoming obstacles that maybe City have, and maybe he still wants to achieve in his career to ultimately be known as the greatest, as the GOAT. That may intrigue him somewhat. Or maybe City have someone else lined up. Maybe it is someone like a Lautaro Martinez of Inter Milan, for example. Or maybe they're going to try their luck at maybe trying to tempt Erling Haaland away from Dortmund a year earlier than what it seems like he will. Maybe there's an outsider that I haven't talked about. I don't know. Anything could seriously happen with Manchester City. They need to go for a plan B, in my opinion. It's something that they need to sort out very quickly, especially when you look at the business that Chelsea have done this past summer. The return of Romelu Lukaku as the main one, and there's still talk of other things to happen and to come for Chelsea within the final week of this window. You also look at Liverpool. They've come back stronger with some key players back in their squad. United have also strengthened this summer, and they may be looking at this and they may understand City's squad is still strong. They have to understand that, but they clearly lack, like I say, in the striker department, which may intrigue them somewhat. And I said before this season, for me, a lot of City's pending success, or a lot of success that City may get this season, relies on them getting a consistent and prolific enough goal scorer. Kane is now off. The Kane deal is now off. And I ask, do City have a plan B? We will have to wait and find out. As for Spurs, though, of course, they keep their talisman. They keep their star striker, their diamond, their Harry Kane, one of their own. And if Kane remains at his best and doesn't down tools or anything like that, because I suspect that this isn't exactly Kane's ideal scenario here. I would suggest that Kane is a bit unhappy that Manchester City didn't come in and go proper in for him and lay the money down on the table and give Levy an offer he couldn't refuse. I imagine he's a bit more unhappy at City than he is regarding Tottenham, despite the fact of the gentleman's agreement that he supposedly had with Levy. But as I say, if he doesn't down tools and he's back to his best very soon and everything clicks for Tottenham under their new manager so far and everything, then this Spurs squad may just be a bit more interesting this season. Maybe a top 6 finish is now more likely than it was in a scenario without Harry Kane. Maybe overturning the 1-0 deficit in the Europa Conference League qualifier and going on to actually win that tournament may be more likely to happen. They're going to be definitely one of the favourites for that tournament. Maybe that will be a bit of success there. It may be a building block towards even more success in the future. Who knows? Maybe a decent domestic cup run or something. I don't know. But it looks more likely now that Spurs will actually have, by all accounts, a decent enough season. A season to at least keep them intrigued and interested for long enough, the Spurs fans. But we wait and see on that. Overall, though, this is great news for Daniel Levy. This is fantastic news for Tottenham Football Club, their players, their staff, their supporters, and so on. And as I mentioned, it won't just be music to all Tottenham and everything associated and everybody associated with Tottenham's ears. This will also be music to the ears of City's challengers as well, and especially for Chelsea, who, in the eyes of many now, have shifted as to being the favourites for the Premier League title this season. And I'll admit, as much as my heart says I want Liverpool to win, my head is saying that Chelsea will now go on to win the Premier League title. But, like I say, on the title race, we wait and see. But what we do know is that Harry Kane is staying at Tottenham for at least another season. But as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this big breaking news story that Harry Kane has come out himself and stated that he will be staying at Tottenham for at least another season? Where does City go from here? How badly have City messed up here? Do City have a plan B lined up? What are City's chances of success this season? And what about Tottenham? Where do Tottenham go from here? How do you see their team now that Kane is staying? And what do you think the season holds for City, for Tottenham, and for Harry Kane? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, anything regarding this big breaking news story down below in the comment section, because I'm sure it will all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated, of course. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.